For the last 15 years, Adam Montiel has been bringing you the stories, the people, and the producers that make wine better and more fun. Whether you're a connoisseur or a cork dork. Here, we taste it, we spill it, we leave it all on the table. It's The Pour with Adam Montiel.
Cheers and Happy New Year. It is 2025. We're starting the new year with some incredible conversations, amazing wines, and of course, lots of storytelling. I owe you an apology for the lack of new programming in December. It has been a wild ride. I had a ton of shows recorded from last year that I did in December, some really good stuff we have down the pike. But here's the thing. I hired my first editor, and then, just like that, I lost my first editor. Turns out the guy was charging me and just running my raw audio through an AI editing software. And here's the kicker. It's a software I already own. He's a nice guy, but it's not what we agreed on, and this was my first time getting help with editing, so lesson learned for sure. I'm actively looking, though, for someone who can truly help bring these episodes to life. With a lot of the recording that I'm doing, the editing, I just need to be recording. I don't have time to edit as much. So, meantime, I've got this handled. We are ready to roll. Today, we're diving into the world of German wines with someone who's shaking things up in a big way. Before we get into the show, this episode brought to us by our friends at Tin City Distillery and their private barrel club. Now, if you've ever dreamed of having your own barrel of whiskey, this is it. This is it. Members of the private barrel club work directly with the Tin City team. You'll work with Patrick, the guys over there, to craft your very own personalized barrel, from selecting all the things that go into it, how long it ages, all that stuff. And guess what? I'm doing one. That's right. Barrel number 3. It's right there on the top left. Don't mess with it. Watch it for me while you're there. I'm excited to do this. I can't wait to see how it turns out. Whether you're celebrating a milestone or just want to flex your whiskey game, this is the ultimate experience for any whiskey lover. Go in on it with some friends, maybe your family, and you'll end up with a bunch of bottles of whiskey with your own label and all that. I mean, just head to tincitydistillery.com, check out the private barrel club today, and let them know you heard them on Up and Adam. All right, Lisa Tupetz, a German-born wine professional with a fierce entrepreneurial spirit, joins us to share her journey from the vineyards of Germany to the shelves of California's finest wine shops, even nicest restaurants, which you'll hear. Her passion, her precision, and her ability to bring hidden gems to our glasses will absolutely blow your mind. Really building some great relationships in Germany, knowing the grower, producers, and they're finding their way over here because of her. From non-alcoholic innovations to placements at the French Laundry, Lisa's got stories you definitely don't want to miss. Plus, she's bringing wines that are exclusive, terroir-driven, and really unforgettable. So grab a glass, because this conversation is going to pour itself. Let's go. So what is this?
So this one is a rosé, non-alcoholic sparkling. So the idea of this wine is that non-alcoholic, yes. Wow. Yeah. So the producer of this wine, he used to make vermouth. So he's really good at doing those blends of, herbage extracts that you make for making vermouth. And so for the non-alcoholic sparkling, he was thinking about make a lot of sense to get more aromatics to the wine. Because usually non-alcoholic wines, they're just the boring wines. There's something missing. And alcohol always supports the
whole
flavor.
Process. Yeah, for sure. Right.
So what he did is he made a wild berry extract and some local herbs from where he's based out of, down in Black Forest area in Germany. And so he made this really cool broth with extract of the wild berries and flavors and stuff, all natural, and added them to the non-alcoholic rosé base wine, and then carbonate the whole thing. So it's a carbonated, de-alcoholized rosé with real little sugar as well. So usually those wines have too much sugar. So this one doesn't.
Wow.
Yeah, so it tastes like a really good rosé.
It does.
Without being a rosé.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And what are you learning about the no-alc movement? And are a lot of people asking about it, wanting more?
Mm-hmm. So it started last year. I feel like that people reached out to me asking if I have anything like this. So my first non-alcoholic product I got in was last year. It was a apple juice and a blackberry leaf extract. So a similar base, but no alcohol at all and no wine at all. Being part of the whole process.
Different from this because this literally has a wine base.
Yes, this is a de-alcoholized rosé base plus then the aromatics.
Yeah.
Yes. And so the other product was like apple juice with the blackberry leaf extract and stuff. So it's like slightly different. This is definitely a high demand. And actually, I brought this one too because it's now at a French Laundry as well. So that's kind of cool.
Is that your replacement?
Yes.
Way to go.
You.
That's pretty cool.
I know. They just ordered like a couple weeks ago while I was in Germany. And I was like, this is pretty cool.
Is it hard to get FaceTime at the French Laundry just to, sit down with someone and taste my wines?
Well, it was kind of random. I was up in Napa. I just, have had some trips planned up there to meet with different wine buyers and stuff. And I did a tasting with Compliant Wine Shop up in Napa, one of my favorite places up there. And then I was sitting at the bar drinking a glass of Chablis, and then this guy showed up and he bought a really nice bottle of Pomade from France. And I was like, that's cool. And then he just got a couple of glasses and shared them with this other guy sitting at the bar as well. And I was like, so who are you?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I'm one of the sommeliers at the French Laundry. And I was like, oh, can I have your number then? And so I stayed in touch with him every time I was back in Napa. We went wine tasting before his work and stuff and just kind of...
Got to know him a little bit.
Yeah, because, became
Made a
friends.
relationship. That's
cool. And then I had one of my winemakers visiting Nicolas from Margaretenhof this August. And he was like, I really want to see Napa. And I was like, yeah, totally. It's, have a day or two.
I got just the guy for you.
Yeah. And then I was like, hey, Austin, do you want to join us and do a tasting with us? And Nico will be there. He has some of his wines too. Maybe there's time if you want to taste Nico's wines from Margaretenhof, from the Mosel area.
Yeah.
And it was like kind of random. And then I was back in Germany now. I texted him and said, you want to taste anything? He said, let's taste the non-alcoholic sparkling and retaste the Riesling GG from Nicolas because my boss wants to taste it too. And so, now these two wines are listed at the French Laundry.
Damn, that's rad. That's so cool.
Oh, it's so cool. I got the order and I was like, is this actually happening? This is kind of cool.
Did you call someone and be like, guess what? Just got a placement at the French Laundry.
Actually, I did. And I was like, Dad, do you know what just happened?
Well, you and I were sharing off the air that we both really miss our moms. And that would have been one of those moments where you're like, Mom, guess what?
Yes,
holy
absolutely.
shit. That's so cool. Good for you.
And our dad is a chef. And he sends us videos all the time from cool menus and dishes and restaurants, like places he really wants to go to and whatnot. And then obviously he knows Thomas Keller. And he's like, yes, I know, off him. Like,
your dad's a chef. What was that like growing up?
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Was he a chef like in an establishment or did he do it professionally?
Yeah, he had his own business too.
So when that's the case, do you end up getting those good meals at home or he's doing them all day? You're
actually,
not.
Our mom cooked.
Oh, your mom cooked it.
Yeah, our mom was the one making lunch and dinner for us usually because that was busy at work.
So what's your story? Where do you come from? You moved to the Central Coast like 6 years ago.
Yes.
You're from Germany.
Yes.
But your accent really expresses a lot more than just German.
Yes, absolutely.
There's almost like a little Kiwi in there.
Yes.
Tell me your story and where you came from and how you got here.
Okay, so the short story pretty much is I'm born in the United States. My parents used to live in the States. And so we are both born here, my sister and I. And then...
What's that?
Pardon?
Where? In California?
No, in Boston.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's where we technically are born. But I was like 2.5 years old when we went back to Germany, so I don't remember anything. I actually haven't been back to Boston since, so that's something it's on my list. But there's no wine, so not really a place I would visit. And then, so I grew up in Germany, went to school in Germany, and then I wanted to improve my English. And my mom's best friend lives in New Zealand, so I decided to go to New Zealand for 3 months and see what happens. And she owned, at that point, one of the best wine bars and restaurants in New Zealand in Christchurch. And so I started working for her and this sommelier, like a French sommelier, like full stereotypical French sommelier, incredible guy. He started to teach me about wine. So every night I was sitting there after work when he was done, going through the wine list and pouring like half dry white wines and like just kind of get me an idea about how wines taste and whatnot. And then we kind of just, got like more and more involved in like the whole wine tasting experience and how to pair food and wine and whatnot. And then I went to a winery. One afternoon was actually my first winery visit ever. I'd never been to a winery before because I grew up in Germany, but not really in like a wine area, more like a beer area, Cologne, where the coach is from.
Yeah.
And so I was in Christchurch and tasted some of the really, really cool wines and then went to this winery. And the owner of this winery is one of the pioneers of winemaking, especially for Pinot Noir in New Zealand. And he did a tasting with me in his barrel room. It was like, I think it was a different season around here. Yeah. So just tasting his cellar, tasting through his barrels. And at this point, I already had like pretty good understanding about wine. So I was kind of blown away by him, how he was making his blends and stuff. He gave me a second. So he walked around the corner and then came back and He's like, taste this one. And I was like, wow, this is stunning. I want to learn how to do this. And my mom's best friend, she was with me. She still tells the story much better than I can probably. But so she was just like, she could tell the second that I made the decision to work in wine and become a winemaker. And so I started working at his winery while I was living in New Zealand. I extended my stay. I think I called my parents like 4 times, saying, hey, I changed my flights. I'll be back later. And I ended up staying for about a year. And then I went back to Germany, studied winemaking, a bachelor's and master's degree in viticulture and enology. So it's like a combined studies in Germany where you can study both, or where you study both.
So right now you are fiercely down the path of production and making your own wine.
Yes. So that was like my goal, or my
I'm going to have a winery.
Yeah, that's like what I want to do. And so I actually had to do an internship. So in Germany, when you study winemaking, this is like studies that want you to also have the practical experience. So it's mandatory to do an internship. And I ended up working at Margaretenhof that I'm working now with as well, that I'm importing now. And I worked with them and pretty much it feels like my family winery. So I'm just like really closely connected with them still. And it's like really, really cool. And so I worked with them, did all my degrees and stuff. But I had really bad allergies. I have eczema. And so my eczema got really bad working harvest in Germany. I don't know if it was the climate or what was going on, but I kind of had to change direction for a little bit and kind of took a break from it. And then my mom got sick too. So it's like, life changes.
Did you struggle with that? Did you go, I guess this is the way the wind's blowing me? Or did you fight it a little bit? Or what were those? What did those
I was pretty upset about it. Yeah, for sure. And then I worked in distribution for Italian and Spanish wines. I got to travel a lot to Italy and Spain, just like long weekend trips to learn more about the different wine regions and wines and stuff. So I got to taste a lot. I got a really, really great exposure to all different amazing wines in Europe. So that was a really, really cool path as well to be on. But then being at all these cool wineries too, is I do want to, and talking to the winemakers and see their passion and just being really close with them. It's like, I do want to make wine again too. And I worked harvest for a few weeks in Priorat in Spain. One of the producers that I was selling in Germany. I took some time off work and then worked harvest in Spain. And I had 0 allergies. My eczema was fine. My skin was fine. I'm like, maybe this is a sign. And so my dream of making wine in California was still in the back of my head. I remember calling my dad and I was like, hey, I think I need to do this. And so I went to see my sister and she introduced me to Casey, who's Finn Dufresne's sister-in-law.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so,
wow, okay.
Yeah, that was like the connection too. This is how I ended up here in the central coast of California. So I started working at Chamazal for 3 years, like 3 harvests, 2018, 19, and 20.
Wow.
That was a really, really cool connection, I think, too. That was great. I learned so much working at Chamazal, and that's how I ended up in California. So I guess that's part of my accent, too.
Yeah.
The Kiwi, the German, and now the American.
So you're still on this path towards production.
At this point, I was, for sure. And then I did have a work injury at Chamazal, unfortunately, on my shoulder, like torn the labrum and had a surgery. And I didn't know when I could go back into winemaking. While I was sitting here recovering from the surgery, and also COVID just happened, and I was like, I can't just go back to Germany. I live so close to the beach where I have the beauty of California.
All right.
I'm not going back to Germany now, which was a huge mess and like really difficult during COVID. I mean, not a mess, but it was like really restricted, very different to here. And so I decided to stay in California, and I talked to my friends in Germany who have wineries and make really amazing wines. And it's like, so are you interested in going on this new adventure with me? Shall we try to, get something new figured out and get your wines to California and work with me on this whole new business idea that I have or had? And they're like, totally, let's do this. We're in.
So we're gonna talk to our producer friends in Germany, and we're gonna learn the T's that I have to cross, the I's I got to dot, the permits I need to import wines into California.
Yes. So what I did in 2021 was planning my business. So I went online. I did all the research. I looked it up, which permits I needed for the TTB and all the licensing from the ABC, what combinations are possible as well. Because for me, it was important that I don't work with any other distributor, that I'm the one who's making the decisions on which wines I'm going to work with. And so I got my own licensing for everything. I have my import license, import-export, my wholesale distribution license, and my retail license. Since a few years now, you're able to do this in California too, that you're able to sell wines to consumer if you're the importer, which hasn't been possible for a few years. Or until a few years ago.
Because of COVID?
No, because of alcohol law.
Oh, got
because
it.
I'm crossing technically all 3 tiers.
Oh, yeah. So you are bringing in wines and are these wines that are meant for distribution, or are these wines that you really don't see in like on shelves, and these are kind of like your friends, or a little bit more specific niche brands and stuff like that, or what?
So the idea was, when I had my surgery and I was craving something from Germany, I went to Wine Sneak and just looking through the wine shelf, and I was like, all the wines that are in this wine shelf from Germany are like the typical big names. Amazing producers, no question doubted about that. But I kind of felt like you couldn't find like any of the newer producers, something different, something a little bit more
just like
exclusive.
someone who really has their finger on the pulse of the scene there.
Yes.
Since we all live here, I'm from there, so it's like you really had your finger on the pulse of the scene. You know these producers that are hot, and you're like, God, you need to get heard and appreciated over there.
Totally.
And I'm going to figure out how to bring you guys in here.
Yeah, so that's what I did.
And then really you can work with someone like Ash and be like, hey, you should bring in some of these wines. Yeah.
So that's okay. I talk to them too, and like different wine shops around. So would you buy wines that are not known yet? Because I don't work with like big brands quite yet. I mean, I have a couple of new ones that are pretty big, but I would be, not Rebholz or like all the big names that everyone knows. And they're like, no, we would totally work with that. And I was like, cool. So yeah, I did. I flew to Germany. I made the decisions on which wines I think I wanted to start working with, and then figured out the whole thing with the label approval.
Wow.
Every wine has its own label on the back too, where you can see my name on there, imported by,
way,
all the stuff.
It.
I know. I was like so excited. I got my first shipment in and looked at the bottle. It's like, there's my name on the bottle.
You're on every bottle.
I know. Every
brand.
single bottle. I know.
Now, did you think, okay, well, I'm going to call the company my name, or I'm going to think of something a little bit different? Why did you end up going with, how do you say your last name?
Tupetz.
Tupetz.
Like 2 dogs, 2 pets.
Yeah. So why did you end up going with Lisa Tupetz Wine?
Well, I took some business classes in between while planning my company. And one of the classes, it was about marketing and branding and how to define your business. And it was a women's business center here in Slough. It has really amazing classes. And so they were like, okay, there are 2 options on like branding. You can be like Coca-Cola or Nike, just, have a made up name. Or you could be like Coco Chanel and use your name. And I was like, I want to be like Coco Chanel.
Yeah.
And so I went for my name. It was cool. Pretty much how I made the decision. I was really brief. I couldn't think of anything like.
In an emotional way, did it almost feel satiating to see Lisa Tupetz Wine, the name, on a bottle, since we were doing production for so long, but then because of circumstances and the injury, we had to go in another direction. But now you still get to see your name on a bottle of wine. Is there something to
that? It still feels great. Yeah. I feel like it's definitely.
Sure. It's awesome.
Yeah. It makes me really proud to see that I figured that out and it's working, and I get really great response from all over the place, people that I work with and taste my wines, and everyone is really.
Locally, who are you talking to? Are you talking to Ash? You work at Wine Sneak or 15C? Or where are some of the places that, people could find this German connection?
So Farmhouse that just opened up over by the airport. She has a great selection. Almost all of the German wines are my wines, which is really, really cool to see.
Really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's Kelly. She's doing a really good job with my wines. I'm really happy to see that. Then Ash has some of my wines still too. St. Sparrow, Sarah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's one of my closest friends, so she has always a changing selection of my wines too.
That's cool.
Similar Coast Wines has some of my wines too. I'm at Le Petit Carnet up in Paso. They have my wines. I'm off the GGs too, like the same one that's at the French Laundry now. So it's kind of cool.
Are we going to taste the one that's at the... Well,
absolutely.
This one is at the French.
This one as well, yeah.
Wow.
The non-alcoholic one.
I think this is great. This is a non-alcoholic sparkling rosé, and you never know. I mean, it tastes pretty good.
I know, right?
It tastes great.
I think it's awesome.
Mainly dry, and let's dig into some other wines and let's talk about the region a little bit, or even just German wines. I mean, tell me some of the way to kind of approach Germany and German wines to really wrap your head around it and to understand it the best way possible.
Okay, so how to sum this up? So Germany is one of the old world countries for winemaking. So it's the classic regions of Europe that we have been making wines for many thousands of years. And we are known for Riesling. Unfortunately, many of the wines that have been exported were like cheap sweet wines, and it's not what we actually produce anymore. It happens, but not for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to Pinot Noir, we're the 3rd biggest producer for Pinot Noir. And then we make a lot of really high-end sparkling wines, like the champagne method, traditional method, I should say. So that's something that's like a well-kept secret of us Germans. We drink the most of our sparkling wine that we make ourselves.
Yeah.
So.
And you have wines there that mainly never even make it over here. Some fantastic, what is it, like the Spätburgunder? Yes. Is that one an example of one?
It's a Pinot Noir, Spätburgunder. Yeah.
Am I saying that right even?
Yeah, Spätburgunder.
Yes. Spätburgunder, okay. That they're so popular over there that not a ton of them make their way over here. Do we have some wines like that today?
Yes, we do.
That's interesting. Cool.
So I did bring a Spätburgunder, Riesling, a Pinot Blanc.
Fun.
Yeah.
What is this in the glass?
It's another sparkling wine, but this one like a real one, some alcohol.
Yeah.
This one is Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, and Pinot Blanc, 50, 40, and 10% cuvée. It's from 2016, 17. It's about over 60 months aged on lease, and then just been disgorged recently for my shipment.
Wow.
So it's really, really cool high-end sparkling wine, zero dosage, completely dry, from a family-owned smaller producer down in southern Germany, close to Stuttgart area.
Like grower-producer situation?
Yes.
Cool.
So all the wines that I work with, except for this one sparkling wine producer, he buys his grapes for now because he's like, I'm good at making it. I don't have to grow it.
Yeah.
But everyone else I work with, they have their own land. Like that's everything I own. Well, everything I import is technically grower champagne, if you want to call it, and vintage champagne too.
Give me an idea of the first non-alc, that wine that's at the French Laundry.
Yeah.
What does this go for a bottle? What do you sell it for a bottle? What do you think?
I think online it's maybe like $38 or something.
Yeah, cool.
40, yeah,
what
38.
What do you think it is on the French Laundry list?
I never know.
I'm so curious. Yeah. And then what about the one that we're drinking right now?
That one is $49, I think. And then if you're a wine club member, you get 20% off. So for the membership, it's like, I think, a really good deal.
Is German wines like your way to always feel like you're home?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm usually not homesick, but there are days, obviously, where you feel like you would like to be with someone that you've known forever or something. You know, this feeling of, home, Heimat.
Yeah.
So, that's definitely German wines to me.
So how many different wine regions that are world-class are in Germany?
13 different regions is what Germany has overall in total. And everything is located in the southwest of Germany. So if you fly into Frankfurt, it's pretty much the whole area. You can
hit it all up.
Yeah, it's fairly easy. So every time I go back to Germany, I get to rent a car and then drive around across Germany or the Rhine regions of Germany.
It's a pretty small country. Like, can you drive around it pretty easily?
Yeah, for sure. It's, I don't even know, maybe like a third of California.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think it's pretty small. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's California is pretty big.
I know.
It's long and tall.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's Texas big, but it's pretty big. But in I've never been to Germany.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I bet. I've always wanted to go. And then I saw this like video on YouTube of Mosel and the wines there. That's beautiful.
So one of the other things,
terraces, right?
Yeah, the terraces too. And Germany is like a cool climate country. So if you compare a cool climate wine growing region too. So that's one of the things you want to have in mind as well. If you think about how wine is made in Germany versus, for example, California, just to give like a really brief understanding. Europe is divided into two wine growing zones, A and B. A is the cooler ones. It's everything, including Germany, and then southern Germany, South Germany, and then everything south of Germany would be wine growing zone B, where you're allowed to add tartaric acid to winemaking. Mm-hmm. And the other regions you're not allowed to. But you can chaptalize, you can add sugar to the juice. So there are different regulations based on where you're at in Europe that you can, work with.
You like beer?
I do like beer.
You like spirits?
I do like gin, and I do like whiskey a lot, actually, too.
What's your favorite German beer?
Kölsch.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
we're in it. So we're at. We think I love Josh Clapper and Timbre, and he was supposed to be sitting in on this, but he said it was
kind of bummed. Yeah,
me too. He said he was a little bit under the weather, and I don't know. I get super paranoid, like I'm going to get sick. You seemed pretty cool with it. Or were you kind of like, just if you're feeling sick, don't do it?
I mean, I think I would have been fine just because I just got all my vaccines and stuff.
And you just got off a plane. So
I know.
You're like, I'm
fine.
You know what I mean? We need to bring him in here at the end.
My immune system is on like high alert right now. I'm good.
Because he let us come into his library here. And I mean, look, he's got a little whiskey situation over here. But this place is pretty cool, huh?
It is. It's really cool. Yeah, I do love rye whiskey, and it's like what I would drink when it comes to whiskey. And then one of my producers in Germany, he makes gin as well, which is like really, really cool stuff. So, and I I can import gin as well, or just like spirits in general. So, but I cannot sell them to consumer directly. So once I have a few more
have you done
restaurants,
it yet?
And no, I haven't. But if I would know if any of the businesses in California would be down to list some really cool German gin,
yeah,
I would
I
totally
think
get
of
it
like,
over here.
have you been up to like Mo at like Grapes and Grains yet in Paso?
Yes, I actually have a tasting with Sean next week too. Again,
cool.
So I could ask him if he would be down. Yeah,
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
So this wine is really good. This
you
sparkling,
like it?
I really do.
Yeah, LPC has that one too.
Is it? Do they really?
Yeah,
Cool.
they had it last year too on the tasting menu with the oysters. And it was one night when I happened to walk in there for dinner with my really good friend. It was her birthday. And then Alex was like, oh, look what I'm pouring today. And I was like, perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
So it was perfect timing. Yeah, no, it's like a really cool wine. It's made from, as I said earlier, Pinot Noir, Pinot Blanc, and Pinot Meunier. And the producer, David, and I, we studied winemaking together. So it's David from Siegloch Winery and then Jens I studied with back in Germany. So I have, really long connections with them, and I know how they work or have been working since. So it's really amazing now to see how they started off taking over their family production, getting their own ideas and full and
kind of taking it over.
Technique into making their own wine.
Yeah. We were in France. We were at this one producer and, 6, 7 generations, and he's in his 30s, and him and his wife who's running the tasting and stuff. And just like seeing how they're kind of like, yes, there's this tradition, and yes, there's this way. I mean, this has been in our family for 6 generations before me, but now to see the way that they kind of own it in their own way and put their fingerprint on it, it's exciting to see both those.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's been, great to taste wines back then, and also having all these wines you can't find in grocery stores. And that's something I think really unique as well. For example, with David's wines, I remember sitting, after class, he would sit down and taste wines together, do blind tastings and stuff. And I could always pick out his wines just because there's something really unique based on his terroir where he's based out of, like in Stuttgart. So I think that's like something that makes my wines somehow special too, because they have their own fingerprint. They, you can taste the producer, where they're from. They're not wines that added, made for grocery store, tasting the same every year, and kind of like a lemonade kind of thing.
Yeah,
so it's actually like
that character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the handwriting of the winemaker, and then every vintage is different depending on the season and stuff. So we did some vertical tastings too when I was in Germany this year too. Like some of the GG Rieslings, it's like from 2020 to 23, getting idea about different vintages. And even like right now, being in Germany working harvest this past month, talking to all different producers and like what's been going on, comparing what happened during Mosel area, which like is huge frost earlier this year. Then Rheinhessen had normal yields, but a lot of rain during harvest as well. Then Franconia had like one of the warmest harvests ever. So they've been like done for a couple of weeks already. So every region, even though it's a cool climate, overall wine growing country, everyone has its own story to tell and everyone has its own experiences during harvest. So it's really cool. I was happy to be in Germany to get like the full on insights.
Yeah.
So I can share.
That's really
everyone.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've had 2 wines so far, and both of them are wines that I want to have again. Even the non-alcohol is really good. So, and you're going to make available for someone listening, or we're going to taste 6 wines today.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to bundle these up. And if somebody wants to bring all these wines into their home, they can do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I can ship. My wine club works. I have a wine club and online shop, so I can ship wines to pretty much anyone across the United States. So most states that allow alcohol sales, I can sell to. And then,
Where do you do this out of? Do you have a warehouse or do you have like a...
Yes, I work with Slow Wine Storage.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so they're doing such an amazing job. I have all my wines stored there. And while I was in Germany now, I just sent them orders. It would just get everything ready for me and...
Fulfill them.
Yeah, it was great.
That's great.
So it's like really cool to be... being in Germany firsthand, getting all the experience, working harvest, but at the same time, getting my wines to my customers across the United States. So
that's
it was
pretty
really cool. Yeah.
You got a growing wine club? Is it doing good?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I hope that being in Germany and having like more insights and like sharing more things about what's been going on, especially creating more awareness about the importance about where to buy wines or who to buy wines from. Like I always like to buy directly from a producer, and there are a few things I don't buy at grocery stores. It's like meat and wine. And so I kind of tried to bring this awareness to the consumer too, to think about what you're putting in your glass or on your plate.
Get a quality producer, get a quality product.
Yeah, and especially if you think about the smaller producers now, like in the Mosel area, one of the producers I used to work with, I still have some wines of his left. He doesn't make any wine this year because everything has been damaged by the frost. And then now with Margaretenhof, they have some vineyards like 90% loss of the crop because it was such a heavy frost earlier this year. And so now working with them, harvesting, like having a look, driving through the vineyards and seeing how different the vines look, how different the grapes look just because of the frost and how much work it is, because it's still the same work. You have to still go out there and treat the vineyards and the vines throughout the summer, throughout the growing season. But then the grapes come in and it's barely anything. So all the hard work you put out there, you still have to pay the same. It's still like the same work you got to do.
Yeah.
But then you just don't really get the...
Man.
Yeah.
In the wine club, how many different shipments do you do and how many wines? How does it work?
So for my wine club, I do 4 shipments a year, every quarter, and it's 6 bottles each time. And I make like a pre-selection of the wines that I think, you would enjoy based on the season, based on what I just bought. I have a few wines that won't even go into any retail shop. They're just for my wine club.
Yeah.
So it's some exclusive wines just for the wine club too. But you can always customize the shipment too. So if you feel like, the rosé she put in there.
How far ahead do you have to work? Like you're already thinking about the wines that you're going to be sourcing in next year, or?
Pretty much. Yeah. It's definitely a lot of planning involved.
My next wine club shipment.
Yes, so I pretty much planned. Yeah, it's all planned out. I know exactly what I will put into my next shipment. It's going out in November. So I have one around Thanksgiving, Christmas time that I will ship out. And then next time would be in February. So I pretty much know already what I want to put in there. But it's cool. I like to have the planning done.
Totally. I'm curious, what's the next wine?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do Pinot Blanc.
This is, you said, the Pinot Blanc?
Yes, so that's a Pinot Blanc from a producer from Rheinhessen, Werther Windisch, Jens, the winemaker and owner and viticulturist. Like he does everything himself too. Him and I studied winemaking similar to David and I, so we were the same class. And I remember sitting in class with Jens working on his old labels, like very first wine label. We're sitting in class in the last row. Instead of, listening to the teacher, we were looking at different label designs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. And he launched in 2010. He took over his production of his dad's production. And they used to pretty much like sell bulk wine. They wouldn't bottle anything. Everything was just like being sold to other wineries in the area. And then Jens studied winemaking with me, and he also worked at different places, including New Zealand as well, and then make the decision to making his own wine, which I think was a great decision. He's a really talented winemaker. He's well known for his white wines, for example, like Riesling, Sylvaner, and also Pinot Blanc, and he makes some stunning sparkling wines too. So the sparkling wine, one of his sparkling wine just won first prize last year for Burgundy white wine in its category. So it's like 36 months lease aged and whatnot. So it's like, I think really, it's just like fun to work with high-end sparkling wines without paying for the,
right.
Not having to pay champagne prices, but getting the champagne taste.
And what region is this Pinot Blanc from? This is
Rheinhessen.
Yeah.
So Rheinhessen is close to Frankfurt. Usually when I fly to Germany, I would just give Jens a call. Hey, I'm at the airport, and chill the wine. Is
this totally dry or is it a little off dry?
That's a dry one. So, but usually German wines, because of the high acidity, you might have a little bit of RS. Let's say like 2-3 grams or something.
Right, super small.
Yeah. But then the acidity is pretty high too. So it's like a nice balance. So it's all about the balance of the winemaking. But it's, I think, unique to German wines too, how well we are able to balance the acidity and the sweetness.
Yeah. Is there a certain varietal that is really special to you, or something that just, you always turn to? It's your go-to?
Oh yeah, for sure, Riesling.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm like very German when it comes to my wines. Yeah, no, Riesling is definitely one of my go-to wines. I think if someone asked me what I would want to drink for the rest of my life, it would probably be Riesling, because you can have it in all facets and styles and shapes and forms kind of thing. From easy drinking, something you just drink while you make dinner, to incredible food pairing wines, some sweet stuff. The sparkling wines can be incredible too, so...
Yeah, I mean, like the German wine scene, I feel, is often associated really with Riesling.
Yeah.
Tell me some like lesser known varietals that you're happy bringing over, and or that maybe we should learn about.
Oh, for sure. So Pinot Blanc is something that you don't really see that much, I feel like, over here in California, not grown at least. And then I do have an Elbling. Elbling is my top seller, even though no one ever heard of it.
Right.
But it's like my number one seller. It's really, really cool.
Say it again.
Elbling.
Elbling?
Mm-hmm.
How do you spell that?
E-L-B-L-I-N-G.
Oh, Elpling. Let's try it. Let's see what's next. Let's see. Or if that's on the order, we can go, we could stay in order too, but.
Oh, yeah. No, we will.
And Pinot Blanc is awesome. Those are beautiful wines.
Yeah, so the Pinot Blanc is organically farmed. It's organically certified. That's something too that with like my producers that I work with, they're all completely sustainable. They're organically certified, but you won't see it on the label because in Germany, you're allowed to add sulfur to organic wines, which you cannot do in the United States. So all the wines that are technically organic, I will tell you, but you can't see it on the label.
Yeah.
So the requirements and like the label approval, especially for sparkling wine as well, is very, very tricky.
She's breaking out the Coravin, guys.
I know, for the good stuff.
The Coravin is out. What does that mean? That means you don't like me very much, does it? Or does that mean you got to save that? You got to save that for another tasting. You know, you mentioned that none of these wines really that you import are made for the export market, which I think is so cool.
Yes.
How are you, and I guess you obviously knowing these small producers helps, but how do you convince these small producers like to share these intimate terroir-driven wines with us? Are they happy to do it? Do they want to do it?
Yes, they're really happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, they're really excited to see their wines in a different market, to, having a reason to come to California before I go a sales trip or whatever.
Are they coming out here and doing that? Are you bringing them out here for things?
Yes.
That's a great
idea. I had Nicolas over here doing summer for a week. He was like, can I spend my summer vacation with you? And I was like, sure, but you'll have to work. You cannot just come out here and chill.
Right.
Yeah, but it was fun. He got to see California, tasted some Napa stuff. We did some wine tours and had some really good food and everything. And we did a really cool tasting with the Central Coast School of Wine. Have you heard of them? It's like a new place in Tascadero.
I don't know if I have.
Yeah.
School of Wine?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who is it?
It's owned by Sam Schmidt, and he...
Cool.
So...
Oh, no, I made you feel bad. Oh, no, I'm such a dick.
No, I'm opening.
I made Lisa feel bad.
But now we have to finish it.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
Okay, good.
That's all good.
Might as well.
Oh, if that works, I should say something like that every time somebody breaks out the Coravin.
I'm like, oh, you don't like me.
What a jerk. I can't believe it. Well, I got the cork out, so that's okay.
Okay.
I'm interested.
But yeah, so with when Nicolas was here for the tasting at the wine school, we did a full Riesling educational tasting about the different quality pyramid in Germany, the predicate system, the GG, what it means, what a single vineyard means, what it stands for, and also walked through different vintages too. It was a kind of like a vertical tasting including the pyramid system too. So it was like really fun.
Yeah, it's cool because it gets folks understanding. I'm curious, what's the biggest misconception that Americans have about German wine, and how do your selections kind of dispel that?
So usually when I talk about, I import German wines, so you only have sweet Riesling then? That's all you do. I'm like, no. I do have one sweet Riesling, Auslese, and then 2 off-dry cabinets. And that's it. Everything else I have is dry.
Yeah.
And that's what we drink
There's
in Germany.
There's a market for it too,
yes,
I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's what we drink in Germany. And so that's what my business card, it says too, on my website, it says, drink wine like a German, because I bring the wines over that you would drink when you go to Germany. And so that's what I drink too. Like when I go over to Germany, or when I lived in Germany, this is what I drink. This is like my wine fridge technically.
Yeah. And
now being able to bring this over here and share what Germany is actually about, I think is so much fun to me.
Do they care about our wine at all? Are they like, oh my God, I'm so excited to taste wine?
Well.
Yeah. It's not really
No, they're definitely curious. I mean, everyone I work with is in wine. Like everyone I hang out with in Germany pretty much is in the wine industry. So I always bring wine back. And I do have the export license. And so I am, kind of.
Are you trying to do both? That really?
Yes.
So you're starting now to share our wines with them.
Yeah. The thing is, though, that American wines are overall way more expensive than German wines.
Yeah.
So if you go to my website, you can see that my wines are priced pretty reasonable. So if I would bring a Pinot Noir to Germany, which costs $120, and you can get a German Pinot Noir for $20, it's like,
yeah,
weird.
Right.
Why would I do this? And so it's, definitely a price thing. But there are people who are really interested in Californian wines. And there's a good market for it as well if you know the right people. And for example, I just went back to Germany, and Nicolas Margaretenhof will be drinking right now. And he was here, he wanted to taste wines from Bon Climat. So we had some of these wines when he was here, and I brought some back to Germany too and shared with a few of my friends. And People love like the local Chardonnays and Pinots. They're incredible wines. And then I think when it comes to Napa, that's like what everyone knows of in Europe, obviously, the place. But I think I told everyone, it's like, no, you want to taste the Central Coast. It's like the cool stuff.
Yeah. Now,
and it's what I like more too.
When you came here,
yeah.
what did you gravitate towards? What were some of the brands that maybe you didn't, and obviously you were probably tasting a lot of Chamazal because you worked there.
Yes.
But I mean, what are some of the styles and grapes and producers that you kind of really got into as you got settled here?
Well, I definitely, my top producers when I moved here were Arbor Climat. I tasted them when I was down in Santa Barbara within the first weeks. I was like a really big fan, like right away. I do Ryan Devilet a lot. I think he does a really, really good job of missing a vineyard site. So,
oh, yeah, he's great.
So really Hilton and stuff. It's like really, really amazing wines. I met Kobe really early on too. And he was still like Cleveland Churchill and his Elugar wines I always liked too. So I think I've always, I love Pinot Noir, Burgundy style Pinots. It's just like what I always enjoyed the most right from the beginning when I lived in New Zealand, when I started my whole wine career. The Pinot Noir was just like always speaking to me, and also obviously Riesling. So that's
Have you been to World of Pinot Noir?
I actually have not.
You got to go this year.
I know. I would love to.
It's the first weekend in March.
Yeah, I could do that. I usually go to Germany in March for Pour Wine, but Pour Wine is later this year.
Yeah,
like later
let's go the
in
second
March.
week, yeah. It's like normally like March 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. It's like that first Saturday and Sunday.
You should
Friday
go
and
and
Saturday.
present my Pinots.
Yeah, right? I know the folks at World of Pinot, and I'm going to be working with them this year. I think we should.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah. I think this would be.
Well, I got to taste it with you and see what you think before you offer this.
That's true. Yeah, let's make sure that, That's pretty cool. So you've been on the Central Coast, like you said, 6 years.
Yes.
How has the California wine community kind of embraced you and your German wine mission?
It's been incredible. The feedback has been amazing. Everyone has been like so supportive too, like right from the beginning when I started to talk about my idea of getting wines over here from Germany. And I have a huge following in the industry too. So I have quite a few wine club members. Industry discount too.
Winemakers love this shit. Like they love drinking wines that are not from here.
And I love this because then I can get some more geeky stuff too.
Yeah.
I can get some wines that, you actually want to taste and talk about and understand. And like I can give you all the details. I have tasting note cards with every wine. I brought you one. With like info about the winery, the wine, all the technical info about every wine and everything that you get. So I'm a
That's
winemaker
really cool.
too. It's like I know I know the things that I want to know when I taste the wine. So I think
it's really important that people know this when they're dealing with you. Are you really good at making sure that they know of this dream you have that touched on production? I mean, you've made wine before.
Yeah.
You've been here, you've been there, you've been in this country, that country. Like, I'm sure these people, when you get a chance to sit down with them, you're telling them this, right?
Yeah.
Because these are really huge pieces of why you're so perfectly positioned to be hey, look at this German wine. Like, this is, first of all, it's my heritage. This is like where I come from. But not only this, but I know this guy because I made wine with him, or I know this. I mean, it's really, you got a lot of everything to really speak honestly and genuinely.
Thank you. Yeah, I think
that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's so much fun, and I love to sit down and talk about it. I had a few winery lunches too, at ABC and stuff. And when I go to Napa, I just taste wines with the winemakers, sit down with them, and just getting feedback, like honest feedback from other winemakers, and share this with my German winemakers or bring them with me when they're in town.
Right.
It's just so much fun, and I love wine. Obviously, it's like my passion. So and like making it, selling it, talking about it, everything is just like what I love doing.
It doesn't feel like work, right?
No.
Regenerative farming practices, sustainable farming practices.
Yes.
Talk about where they're at with things. What's like the deal over there, and what are you seeing? Do you like to kind of find those places, or what?
Yeah, that's pretty much who I work with. I understand if a winery says this year has been too tricky, I needed to use a little bit more chemicals than I usually do, just to make sure I have some grapes to work with, and also support the vine in a certain way. But for the most part, everyone I work with is either organically certified or biodynamically farmed. And then a couple of them say, I don't want to be certified because it's just, a thing they put on a label and it's expensive.
Yeah.
I can't afford this, but I know them and I know how they work. Yeah. And they have healthy vines and they own the vineyards for many, many years. There's generations of farming and they know what they're doing. And they've been doing it sustainably and they have children and want to, give them like a healthy land too. So that's who I work with. Like I have producers. Yes, absolutely. I have a fair green certification too for some of the wineries, and so that's definitely a huge part.
Some of the most expensive white wines in the world come from Germany.
I know, but no one knows about it.
Yeah.
Look.
What is this? Is beautiful.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, man.
So this is like the 2021 Riesling GG, so Großes Gewächs from the single vineyard site called Isla Coupe. I have some photos of this too. I just took some and I was out there too. Yeah, it's a really beautiful bottle too. And this will be like bottled now and half bottled for the French Laundry. That's what you're drinking right now.
This one's at the French Laundry too?
Yeah.
Damn, girl's got 2 placements at the French Laundry.
I know, right? Isn't that cool?
That's really neat. Now tell me how...
Cheers to that. Now we got to drink the bottle.
I know, right? Cheers to that. Now tell me how you process that. Do you go, okay, well now what is going to be my 3rd placement? Or do you sit going 2 placements? Yes, I'm not gonna make the bow. I'm not gonna rock the bow. We're good. How do you kind of look at it? You're thinking of that 3rd wine.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
What would be
I already have some ideas.
What would be your next pitch to them? Hey, this one. You need this one.
I'd probably talk to my producers first in Germany, but I was thinking about a Pinot, and I do know that they're like half bottles too. So I might get some half bottles ready for that occasion.
Now, will you go over there because you're so close to the producer? Will you go say, hey, I want to bottle these in 375s?
Yeah. So that's what I did now with Nicolas too. He met Austin. So
and
it's
cool.
He
like, Lisa, God, what a pain in the ass.
Yeah, you again.
Yeah.
Can you just leave us alone, please, and sell our wine?
Right, yeah.
It's definitely a lot of work for the producers too, because every wine needs to be labeled individually with a unique label for the US market. And then they change all the time. And then I have to, get those cola approvals. And then they need to send me the original German label. And then I have to see if that's, if that works with the American market and what I have to put on top of it and like next to it. And
it's so interesting.
So I'm definitely causing a lot of work for them too.
Yeah. And they don't, it's interesting, different than here. They don't label their bottles when they produce. They label them as they ship them.
Some do, some don't. So, for example, one of my sparkling producers, they label everything right away and then store it and then ship them because they always sell out really quickly. So they just like everything is labeled at once and then they're good to go.
Okay.
Which just makes it for me really difficult because some of the labels, especially for sparkling wine, are really difficult to get approved with the cola. So the cola is like the label approval process. And so, yeah, it's definitely a pain if some of the wines are already labeled and they don't get approved. So.
You got some really cool producers too. I mean, like some of these 100-year-old vines are really cool practices. I mean, you've really narrowed down some really unique and special producers that I might not ever meet if we didn't meet you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm exclusive for all of them too. So you don't see the wines anywhere else in the United States. So as of now, I'm like the only importer for all of them. Some of them would like to branch out a little bit. So this is why I'm going to a trade show in Chicago next year in May to find a distributor for them in Chicago, but I would still be the one who imports them. And because I know them so well, the producers, we talk about things like this. When I was in Germany now, I met with them too, and we talked about their goals and like what they want to achieve and like where they want to see their wines in the US market. And I told them what I'm capable of doing and how I can present their wines. So I kind of feel like I'm working for them or like with them partner-wise, not just like not a random importer buying some wines.
Right.
So I'm like really close with them, and which makes it way more fun for everyone involved to get this up and running too.
What do you feel came easier to you? Was it the understanding of wine production and getting in there and being physical with making the wine? Or is it this, I mean, you clearly are a savvy entrepreneur. I mean, business-minded. I mean, a hungry.
Yeah.
Did that come easier? Were you more fierce in that way? Or maybe it just all kind of did, or what?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't even know. I guess I always like being in a cellar. Like when I was in Germany now working harvest, I was just like the happiest. I just love being around the vineyards and like being in a cellar and making wine, smelling it, tasting it every day and just seeing how it evolves and stuff. But I guess I do have maybe like an understanding for business then. I don't know. It works
I love
so
that.
far. Yeah. Yeah. And then another option what I'm working on right now as well is like going into the New York market. So I'm going to New York in November, and it's something that I was kind of thinking about doing. And so I figured out,
right? I mean,
yes, they do. Yeah. It's like a whole different market, a whole different approach. It would be a different setup too, but I figured out a way how to do it. So we'll start with any of my producers probably and get into the New York market.
Now, how do you choose that? Do you go, which ones have the best stories, or which ones are going to move the quickest? Which one is going to get me in the black the quickest? Like, how do you choose those 3 producers that are going to be like your top 3 in the beginning?
So 2 of them already have connections to New York. And so they already kind of would be an easier placement.
Yeah.
Because one of them used to have a big importer and a presence in New York, but they stopped working with them and then moved on to me as the importer now. So I feel like I would be fairly easy to just like reopen the market for them.
Mm.
And then it's also like a money question too. It's like who's able to potentially support me on like flying to the East Coast? Because, if they want me to work the East Coast too, I'm based in California. I cannot fly over there every 4 weeks and hang out there for a week. It's a little bit too expensive. But so it's like more about the story behind the wines for sure as well, but also like their willingness to work on it.
Let's do a German wine dinner together.
Oh,
Have you ever
absolutely.
done a German wine dinner? We should do a German wine dinner. Get a fun chef.
Yeah.
And we publicize the crap out of it, sell some tickets.
I'm down.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, absolutely.
A German wine dinner. You know who would love that? The industry. They would love that. Winemakers, they would love to come kick it, drink some wines like this.
I know. I would be.
Let's
I would
do
love
something.
it.
How did you pick the 6 to bring? You have so many wines. Why these 6?
Pretty much to give you like a full overview about what my portfolio looks like and have almost every producer in there. I mean, I missed the Griesel Sekt, but I'm pretty much sold out now too. So it's like the expensive one. I feel like people want to taste it, they can just buy it. But this is like an overview about the different styles, different regions, and different producers, and also the French Laundry ones I had to show you.
Just quickly run through them, and then let's talk about the wine club, because I would love for listeners who are into this. I mean, you said like a couple $100. I'm gonna buy one. I want to be your first one.
Thank you.
To buy. This is a really cool setup. 6 bottles. We'll put it out on the socials too, and you can have all the wines that we're drinking today. These are grower producers. These are her friends from Germany, from the one and only. She's the sorceress of Sekt, the Riesling queen, Lisa Tupetz. So what do we got going on here?
Okay, so we have 6 wines that we tasted today. We started with the Heinz Wagner non-alcoholic sparkling wine. It is like a rosé, which has been de-alcoholized. And then Max, he added some really, really cool homemade herbaceous and wild berry extract to the non-alcoholic sparkling or the rosé. And then he carbonated it. The second one is a sparkling wine. It's a real Sekt with like alcohol, like the real stuff, the fun stuff, which is like my favorite oyster wine. It's like my go-to. I love oysters. That's probably why I live here too. I can just go to Mall by Oyster Company. And
love them. I love him. He's the best.
Fresh. Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever go to like Siner La Valley over there in Napa Beach?
Oh, I go there all the time. Because I live in Pismo, so I'm like, hi, me again.
Right. That's great.
He's selling Chablis now too.
I know.
So I just get a bottle of Chablis with a few of my friends and like.
Do you know Mike Siner or Brett over there? Okay, good. Then you got to get some of your German. I know they like the Frenchy stuff.
They do.
But
I tried. I hope he will. Mike, are you listening?
Yeah. Siner, come on now.
Get some of my Pinot Noir. Yeah. So the Pinot Noir is a 2017 zero dosage veil of Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, and Pinot Blanc from a family-owned producer as well. A family-owned business winery. Like really, really cool stuff. It has like this bready aromatics and nice acidity, really cool texture, which just like pairs like so well with like the salinity from the oysters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go to, absolutely. Then I have a Pinot Blanc from an organically certified winery called Wetter Windisch. Him and I studied winemaking together, same with David from the sparkling wine producer. And to me, Pinot Blanc can be like really, really interesting. It can also be really boring. So it's like, you got to know what you're drinking there.
Good point.
This one has a nice reduction on the nose as well. It has really cool, like it has some creaminess on the palate and therefore a nice complexity. So it's like, it's interesting Pinot Blanc, more like a food, almost like a food pairing Pinot Blanc.
Yeah, for sure. Good, beautiful one.
Yeah. And then we have Margaretenhof from Nikolaus Weber, his single vineyard Isla Cook, which is like the really cool, famous, beautiful vineyard side. His Riesling GG, and GG stands for Großes Gewächs, Grand Cru. So it's pretty much Germany moved away from the typical predicate system because it's been, even for Germans, really confusing. When I started studying winemaking, came back from New Zealand, I was like, okay, I know about wine now, but I still don't know, even though I speak German, what this all means. Like, this is like...
We're confused, girl.
I know. I was like, yeah, let me help,
Yeah, for sure.
Let me break this down. So German producers kind of moving away from the typical predicate system unless it comes to the cabinet wines and some of the sweeter Rieslings. So this is like a GG, Großes Gewächs, similar to Grand Cru, what I do in Burgundy. 2021 vintage, which was a nice and cool vintage too. And it has this really great tension, hint of reduction on the nose too. It has like aging ability, like too, I don't know how many years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like the French Laundry one.
Sweet. Yeah, don't mumble up that one. No, the wine's in the French Laundry, yo. For real. We got 2 wines in the 6. A third of these wines are on the French Laundry list.
I know.
That's pretty rad.
I'm stoked. I'm still like, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
But it's happening. I already bought the wine, so yeah, it's happening.
I love like your equal kind of German, New Zealand, and California vernacular, like the way you talk. You know what I mean? It's like a perfect blending of all. You know, you're like sick, but then you're like very like Kiwi-ish, and then you're very Germanish. That's so cool.
Yeah, I felt like yesterday, I just got back from Germany last night, and I feel like my English is definitely worse than it was 4 weeks ago. Because I've been,
really?
Yeah, I feel like I'm like looking for words more than I usually do.
You probably didn't speak any English over there, did you?
Barely any, no.
Yeah.
I just had a few, friends of mine calling me, or just like emailing, obviously, all the orders that I got in, but it's a German wine order, so it's like...
Yeah, you're like, right. All right, what were the last couple wines?
Yeah, then we have 30 Acker Riesling. It's like the estate wine, the entry level, pretty much for Riesling, but it's just like such a typical, amazing representation of what Germany is like if it comes to dry Riesling. Yeah, one of my latest additions to my portfolio. Really proud to be working with them. Will be really cool too. For recognition as well, because they're such a huge following. And then the last one, the Bettina Schumann Pinot Noir, Blauer Spätburgunder, called achkantig. Achkantig is octagon. So that's what it means. So it's like a Pinot Noir with like some, edges and stuff. It's not completely washed, like pretty. It's just has some edges, but it's also really complex but elegant.
Yeah.
Some French oak, some whole cluster. Yeah. So you have like different vintages across Germany.
Oh my God.
From 17 to 21, 20.
This is the best German 6-pack of wines that ever happened.
I know. Absolutely.
This is it. This is it. So you're going to be able to, I think it's so cool that Lisa was nice enough to say, hey, I'm going to bundle these wines up. We'll make a special deal for you, listeners, to check it out. Get all these wines, sent them. You have the ability to send it right to their house.
Yes, absolutely.
And it is on. These are great wines.
So it's kind of like an idea of like how a wine club shipment could look like too. So this is like a similar style. I usually start with some entry-level wines, then I have some second-tier and then top-tier wines. So it's kind of like a nice balance of all 3 styles of wines that we make in Germany, and then some sparkling every now and then, and some cool stuff, something unique and exclusive that you don't see anywhere else. And then also, you don't see any of them anywhere really, but some wines that I only get for the wine club.
You really know your stuff, and you have a real honest heart for it.
Yeah.
And I'm just really happy that I got a chance to meet you, want to connect with you. I want to do a German wine dinner with you.
Let's do it. Like,
I think
if
there
any chef out there listening,
oh my God, I'm thinking like Rachel Ponce or
for sure.
your dad or something. I don't know. No, I think we get a fun local chef, and then we get them involved. We do some German stuff, and we just go to town.
I would love that. There we go. Cheers. Finishing the bottle now. Yeah, the GG.
We're finishing that GG for sure.
Cool.
Man, what a fantastic chat. Thanks so much to Lisa Tupetz. She's not just importing wines, she is bringing a piece of Germany's soul right here to California. Every bottle tells a story. If you're looking to try something new, that 6-pack wine bundle, it's a perfect way to explore wines that you won't find anywhere else. Big thanks to Lisa for sharing her journey and her passion for the craft. And as always, big thanks to you for coming along for the ride. Before we wrap, I want to talk about Slow Restaurant Month. It is happening all January, now through January 31st, and it's an incredible way to explore San Luis Obispo's amazing dining scene. Participating restaurants, between 50 and 60 of them, are offering special, maybe pre-fee menus, creative dishes, deals you're not going to find at any other time. Plus, it's not just about the great food. It's about supporting our local restaurants during one of their slower seasons. January, a notoriously slower month, which makes a huge difference for these businesses. I'm proud to partner with the city of San Luis Obispo to help spread the word. I've already visited a ton of spots, done some great interviews on Up and Adam. We've done some separate kind of standalone pieces where we interviewed, Benny from Benny's Pizza, Earl from Milestone Tavern, Allie from 15C, George, Central Coast Brewing, Ryan Fancher from Hotel Slow and Piadina. Tons of great chats. Sean Corpuel from Cool Cat Cafe. That was an incredible chat. So you can go online, visit slow.com/restaurant month. I'll put a link on the show notes. You could see all the participating restaurants. And I'll even put a link to those 2 Slow Delicious, weeks 1 and 2, that will have all of, if you want to go back and listen to those interviews that I did on Up and Adam, they're really good chats. All right, don't forget to follow, share, subscribe, rate, review, whatever, all of it, please. Thank you so much in advance. We're really going to try and push the pour more in 2025. Up and Adam is doing great. Always going to be building on that. More growth. Love it. That's the Daily Show. Where Wine Takes You. It's incredible. Where Wine Takes You is now a weekly podcast. It's just my baby. I just love it. Where Wine Takes You is so much fun to do. Showcasing the Paso wine scene. A brand new episode just hit. I'll put a link to that in here too. Brand new episode. We're talking to 3 leaders that have really done just so much locally for the Paso wine scene, but also just for the wine scene. Talking about Kane Thompson from Robert Hall, Maeve Pascara, also from Robert Hall and O'Neill Vintners, and Amanda Wittstrom-Higgins from Full Cup Solutions and Dream Big Darling. They all got named by Wine Business Monthly as big wine leaders for 2024, so we did a show with them. It is the latest episode of Where Wine Takes You, my podcast with Paso Wine and a top 10 wine podcast in the country. Check it out. Again, link in the show notes. Original music on the show, Moonshiner Collective and Come Alive. You can learn more. Stream their music anywhere you stream and go to moonshinercollective.com. Thanks for connecting. I'm Adam Montiel. Well, until next time, keep tasting, keep spilling, and as always, cheers. Thanks for hanging out.
It's The Pour with Adam Montiel. You can hear The Pour in its entirety on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube Music, and wherever you get your podcasts. For more, visit adammontiel.com.